1 in 3 women face violence, face discrimination, and inhuman treatment. Today we are here to discuss the rights of women and their struggle and liberation and how they can contribute towards the human rights of this country. Luckily, we have a very well-constituted panel with people who have moved this journey. A well-known Honorable Miria Matembe, who has walked this struggle from since inception until where we are today. And we shall be discussing more on how has this progressed within Uganda, but also largely within the African context, and how or where do we fit in? Are we heading for the best? Is there a need for reforms? My name is Trassyleen Ankunda, and I'm your host for Women Speaking. So I'm going to invite my panelists to introduce themselves, starting from the extreme left. Hellen, please kindly introduce yourself to us.
Thank you so much, Trassyleen, our host. How are you, viewers? My name is Sayuni Hellen. I'm glad to be here. The first, of course, time in this year to be at Civic Space. So a happy new year to you, and I'm glad to be sharing a panel with the distinguished women to discuss the role of women in building up fundamental human rights.
Thank you, Hellen. Nancy?
Thank you so much, viewers, for tuning in again. My name is Nancy Caroline Ayot. I'm a regular panelist of the show. I've been on every show since the year began, and well, I'm happy that you tuned in today. Thank you.
Winnie, please introduce yourself.
Greetings, viewers. I'm happy to be here as always. I'm happy that I'm sharing the space with these amazing ladies. I want to thank Civic Space and to the moderator. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Moderator. I'm happy to be here with you young people that you can share experience. Otherwise, I'm Miria Matembe, senior citizen, a child of God. And I have been one of those people, I am one of those people who have been at the forefront of the fight or struggle for gender equality and women's empowerment, which embodies all the women's rights since long ago. The most vocal voice
Yes.
on that issue.
Well, we are very happy to have you, Honorable, but also to fetch from your cup of wisdom, especially that you have walked the journey practically. Some of us maybe could be reading your books, the journey, and maybe we might not envision it as much as you actually walked the talk. So today we hope that we shall be able to understand the context where we come from and how do we fit in this generation or even make it better. So to begin it off, I would like to invite you, Honorable, to just give us a brief preamble on the struggle for women's liberation since those days before the 1995 Constitution, and how you have played a very critical role in making sure that we are where we are today.
Well, thank you very much. Of course, the struggle for women's rights, yes, in Uganda here, it also started before I joined it.
Yes.
But this struggle started, I think, worldwide in, is it 1988? You know why I'm talking like that? Is because in 1998, I received an international award as one of 100 women world over who has been vocal, who have been role models, who have had tremendous impact on the advancement of women in gender equality and their empowerment. And they were looking at they picked 100 women for the last 100 years that time. So when I subtracted 1998 to 1988, that's when you get 100 years. 1998, you subtract 1898. Isn't that when you get 100 years?
Yes. Yes.
That's when you get 100 years. So that means the struggle started all that 1898?
98.
Or even before.
Yes, because they were choosing that is when the struggle started long ago. and then in Uganda here also it was caught up with, and the people who started these struggles really in Uganda here, you would talk of the late Honorable Joyce Mpanga, the now Rod Karema, who is still here. There is the Florence Rubega, there is Sarah Ntiro. There are quite a number of women. Many of them are gone, whom we should be celebrating, but I don't even see anybody celebrating them. You see me here, the moment I die, that is the end. And moreover, me here in Uganda, haven't I told you that I got that award? I went to New York and held Uganda flag. And by then, I had just been at the forefront, at the public life in fighting for gender equality and women's empowerment for only 13 years. So that will show you the vibrancy with which I went onto that journey. Because within 13 years, the whole world had known that there is a woman called Miria Matembe, a fighter for women's rights. So we started long ago. But in Uganda, of course, I want to say that by independence, those Joyce Mpanga, the Sarah Ntiro, they were already, they participated even in the struggle for the independence of Uganda. But the moment women participate and then there is freedom, we win, then they are pushed back into the back doors. But what I want to say is, why women's rights? In fact, at one time, was it in Geneva where we said, women's rights are human rights. Because even when we talk of women, then the men say, but why women? But we are saying women are also human beings.
Yes.
And in fact, if I want to tell you, when we went to CA, when we were struggling, we were going to make a prayer to start the CA debates. We said we must pray. And then they worked out a prayer. And when they made the prayer, they were saying, we thank the Lord for the men who are here to discuss this. After they said that, I said, no. I put up my hand, no. We also women are here, and we must be, and the women there, we are quaking. Of course, you know women, they said, but this woman, Matembe also, this is too much. Now what does she want? Men includes women. I said, excuse me? It is women who include men.
Yeah, sure.
If you read the word women, you'll find men. If you read the word she, you'll find he. And I told him, in fact, we include you. So if you don't want to pray for men and women, then pray for women and she, because men will be included. You know, I have wisdom. So when I argued like that, they said, let us include men and women. Why am I telling you this? Because people, you know, by the time we came on the boat, start struggling, is that a woman is perceived as less of a human being than a man. And in fact, for me, when I came right from my childhood, what pushed me to all these things? And I didn't know the word gender, I didn't know anything, but all I was struggling for when I was a little child, you know, that when I studied my course and so on, I wanted a woman to be treated as a full human being in her own right as a human being. So that's when we came up with women's rights are human rights. And so that's why we shall continue struggling. This sort of idea of looking at a woman as a half human being and therefore not entitled to the full human rights and opportunities that are accorded to man. That's the background of this struggle, the girl child. People say, why girl child? Yes, because the girl child was being treated as less of a human being. And in fact, if you look at even our traditional cultures and customs, which are one of the factors that really undermine and constrain women's struggle for their human rights, is customs and culture, where they look at a girl as no child, where they have to produce until you produce a son. If you don't have a son, then you don't have children. In Ankunda, they say, That one, you know that one Bambe did not produce. He has only one son and one child. They say he has only one child and 4 girls. You know, they would say, yes, they would say, I know one obomu nabishiki batano. Narubana. As if only, I know one child nabi. That means girls are not what? Are not children, are not human beings. And that's why you are a woman. That's why there is bride price. They have to buy you. You are treated as property. You know, that kind of thing. So that is the background that led to the struggle for women's rights. Because in those other countries, actually, who struggled first, women were not voting. Women were not considered as human beings. We've been fighting all this battle. And for me, I want to tell people who are listening to us, the struggle for women, for gender equality and women's empowerment is a long-term life struggle. The struggle which must be fought by all of us, because its benefits are for all of us. Because when you undermine women's rights, you are undermining the whole of humanity. Because I can assure you, without a woman, without a woman, there's nothing. Because God could see, God himself saw when he created a man, he said, no, this is helpless. This man cannot do anything unless there is a woman who comes in. So until we shall fight this battle, until both men and women get to know and appreciate and understand the value, the strong value and importance of a woman to humanity, human beings. So we shall continue to struggle until we reach somewhere.
Wow, interesting. Honorable speaks passionately. I think also because, you know, when you have moved the journey, it's much different, like I said, with you who just reads about things. But also we thank you for that contribution that you have made. And you said that if you are going today, then that will be the end of you. But I can trust you, but it will not be the end of you.
If I die today, oh my God, I have, you know, God created us to be of influence, to get to multiply and produce fruits. Oh, I have so many. Because like I told you, the Mpangas were like, we stood on the Mpangas, what? Yes. Shoulders. And now on our shoulders, there is a generation. Yes. When you go to this Jakasimwe, to these unit people, to feed the people, they stood on our shoulders. And then there are those also who are standing on the shoulders of those. I think below me now, below me, following me, about 2 generations at least, which I'm certain with, that they will follow with this struggle. I will tell you the difference down the road as we discuss. Amazing.
To get to you, Winnie, as an executive director of Rights for Her, earlier last week, I saw Center for Constitutional Governance and Civic Space have a press conference, and partly their reasons were, where do we voice our grievances as the NGO world, but also civil society. Now, I well know that societies like Rights for Her, like Forward Day, like FIDA, are partly also one of those great movements that have tried or done their best to ensure that there is progress in the fight for women's rights. To bring you back to the question, what do you think that, or how do you put into context the role that civil societies and other organizations have done in this fight for women's rights?
Thank you so much. I want to thank Mama for the elaborative introduction. I think she has said it very well. And when we speak about civil organizations, we still speak about women. This is a collective of women. We may talk about now the civil organization now, but I also add on to what Mama has said, Honorable has said. She took us back to the independence time. She talked about the Sarantro, the Lubega, the Mpanga. But again, we don't need to forget, when we read, because I come in as a person who read, I didn't walk that journey at that time. When we read about history, they tell us about, which I would call that then organizations or civil societies, people who had come together. In Uganda, there was the Uganda Women Engagement, which supported the Kabaka so much in the fight during that independence.
When they incarcerated
women, the Uganda Women Engagement. You know, the problem we have, like how Honaiba said it, men always want to take the what?
The win.
The credit.
The credit. So in the historical narrative, the mainstream historical narrative, they don't speak about these things. But the Uganda Women Engagement did a lot of work to support the Kabaka Mtebitu. And again, we might talk about now that was in Uganda. So when you read, you will see that in the Western there was Ruhindi Women's Movement, which fought so much the colonialists who were so much oppressing women in farms. So they did a lot of work to liberate women, to fight for women's rights in farms, to fight around exploitation. So we don't, when we talk about civil societies, when we talk about organizations, we sometimes single out or speak about organizations that have been there, that are here now, or those we know. But it has come from afar. There are other, still when you read more, there are other organizations. There are other people. There was a collective of women journalists which was headed by Barbara Chinyemi, something like that. They also did a lot of work during that time of independence. So when we come now, civil organizations have played a lot and contributed a lot to the fight for fundamental rights and freedom. First of all, we need to know that for us to achieve a just community, we have to have rights and freedom. It is a foundation for not only women. Honor has told you, I'll even say everyone comes from women. So when women's rights, when we have fundamental rights for women and freedom, it means that it is everyone's rights. Whenever you see women speak, first of all, women are at the center of families. Women are at the center of clans. We are the people who nurture the environment we live in. We are the people who nurture the children from the start. From even when we say from the start, the man will say that I've been there to pay school fees. Remember when you're supposed to carry a baby from 0 to 9 months. You're the one going through all that pain. You're the one who knows how is it going to be for this baby? What do I want for this baby? So a woman is at the center.
In fact, I tell people these days that women are God's factories to manufacture human being. Then they say, but a man also is there. I say, yeah,
those
men
are workers
in the factory. That minute, and you never see this baby child, and this woman rears this child and breastfeeds, and the child becomes a president or a minister, yet has never seen a worker. Don't you see how important we are to humanity?
And will still be. Ma'am, you're very right, and I need to borrow that narrative. It's a wise one. It's a wise one. And when you see right now the civil societies, they are really doing a good work. Because first of all, women are coming from different places, which means it's a breed of diversity. And remember, what shapes women to do the work we do and why we are more resilient. You will see that women are more resilient, but it's because of the unique lived realities. We do the work we do because of the unique lived realities we have been through. You will see women from the north, what they've passed through shapes their reality, and it gives them the passion, it gives them the resilience to still keep on. The other issue that has even helped the civic society, the different organizations that have come together and the different women, it's because of the intersectional struggles we face as women. A woman will face a mother, even when they're still children. From the time we grow up, in our different communities, we can all testify where we are coming from. A girl child will grow up with intersectional struggles.
She's the one who is going to be stopped from going to school. She's the one who is going to be told to go to fetch water. She's the one who will go to the garden. She's the one who will be carrying the brother on the back. So all those intersectional struggles that we face as women shape us and have also shaped the narrative of the civil society to help other women. You will see that also women play a very crucial part in shaping different communities. Like I've said that we are a center we are always a center in families, even in communities. Right now, because of community, I'll give an example, which we all see, which we have all seen. We have talked about gender-based violence. At least even when you were starting, you said 3 of every 5 women face gender-based violence. And it is women mostly who have been civil societies and women who have been at the front line. If you look at the organization, the different organizations that started then, Honorable has told you about the many women they have shouldered. I also come also on the shoulders of those women. She talked about they shouldered. You get it? And you will see that all those women have at least, most of them have started organizations. And you will see that most of those organizations are employing other women who are also coming with a different and unique narrative, who are coming in with different experience that is helping to shape the what? To shape and protect human rights. And without women and civil society for women, a collective for women, we would not be having gender responsive what? Laws. Honorable will also give us a lot about that because they did a lot to do work around having gender responsive laws. You get, because very many laws, like how he told you that everything was so much streamlined around men, thinking that us women, we have grown up in a structure which is very patriarchal, a structure which looks at a man and thinks that a woman only benefits through men. We have grown up in a structure that is very oppressive to women, you get. So even when you look at most civil societies, civil organizations, and the civil society for women, you will see that very many young women, we can use examples here, very many young women have been nurtured. So we stand at a forefront, and it is very crucial that we have women at the front line in the fight for fundamental rights and freedoms.
Thank you very much for that. Nancy, to get to you. Women and young girls face violence and discrimination. Right from childhood, we have seen men rape babies. We have seen when you start going to school, we have seen children going to school being raped and harassed. Even when you go to the universities, the story is not any different. But even when you transition from the university to the workspaces, you still face that discrimination, that for the chairperson role, it is supposed to be a man, that women, you cannot be in these positions. But also, even when you transition from workspaces now into marriage, you still face those stereotypes and those society constructed norms that still again put you in a discriminated position. Also, as a lawyer, I know the law is one of those tools that has been used to empower, but also some of those laws have again been used to disempower some of these women. To talk about issues around women inheritance of property, to talk about sexual harassment policies, to talk about the Domestic Violence Act, and some of those other laws that have been put in place. How best do you think it can be done, especially in favor of women?
Thank you so much, Tracy. And thank you, the precurrent speakers. I joined the conversation at a very crucial point, because now it speaks to our realities today, but also it speaks to the fact that we need to understand that the relationship between the state and the woman is very complicated. We are central in revolutions like you've heard the speakers talk about. However, when the revolution is over, people forget. In our constitution, in the national objective says that we shall recognize the roles that women play in building the society. However, I feel like with the current systems, it's almost impossible, because we've had a shift into tokenism. Tokenism is where they place someone to fill in a role that was meant for a certain community just for the sake, for appearances, and then that person will not do the work. It's why you hear that women are corrupt, or women are not doing their job, or women in certain positions are not doing what they're supposed to. But also coming down to the realities, the sexual harassment, the discrimination. I feel like right now we are in a position where we are having the anti-rights movement come back. The anti-rights movement is where we have conversations like, we've empowered women enough. What about the boy child? And I just want to say that equality is not like a piece of cake, whereby if you give someone 7 pieces, the 3 out of 10, the 3 is what is remaining of the other, for the other people to eat off. And the anti-rights movement is that it's trying to say that women have been empowered enough, not looking at the different realities of women. Like Winnie said, women come from different backgrounds. We have rural women, we have women from different ethnicities, with the poverty rates that are so different. There are women living with disabilities. Also know that women today make up the majority of the unpaid labor force. For example, women in subsistence farming that never get enough for the work that they do, the unpaid labor at home, when they do not get the opportunity to go out there and have their work compensated for. It means that they are also existing. For example, with the online space today, there are also different narratives that affect women working today, because as a woman, someone just needs to accuse you of something and then you lose your position, because it is real. People are more likely to bring down a woman than to support her in today's society, because deep down everyone wants the woman back to the kitchen, wants a woman not accessing the cerebral opportunities. Because when we talk about equality, we don't mean that I want to be 300 kgs like a man and be able to punch someone or lift a bag of rice. The opportunities we talk about are cerebral opportunities. We're also talking about access to justice, to loans, to opportunities for mentorship and all that stuff. But right now where we are, there are so many narratives that people have built up over time in order to bring down a woman. And more realistically, let's talk about what we had in the news last week. Honorable Winnie has been defending her family on the front line for all this time, talking about freeing her husband. And the first thing to divert us from that cause came, and people began to slut shame her for being a home wrecker. There is no proof as to the fact. There is nothing to show, but a person who has built credentials over time is being mocked online. Everything about her is being degraded, and now, like, everyone is questioning her credibility. A lot of people are questioning her credibility just based on that. It's like we have a double standard where people shame women for the little things and excuse men for some of the big things that they do. You've had other people. For example, I will not mention a person directly, but a person who is known for domestic violence. A man who is known for domestic violence, but is a musician. Someone will come out and be like, but his music is so good. But that could be the fall of a woman. That could be the fall of a woman. I feel like men and women lie. Men and women do bad things in the scope of things. However, there are so many excuses in tradition, in religion, in social constructs that excuse men for their wrongdoings, and there are none that give the woman a benefit of a doubt of whether or not she's innocent. It's almost like the cases you read where a woman was in jail for years for murdering a husband who was inflicting domestic violence on her. That is self-defense in a normal situation. However, there could be no excuse for that. I'm just saying that there are so many narratives right now that exist to pull down a woman that are frustrating the fight for equality, that are frustrating women's contributions. People would like women to contribute, but they do not want women to be recognized for their contribution. That's my
Thank you very much. Amazing there. Helen, as one of those vocal young women I've seen in political spaces, especially under the UID, I well know that political rights for women are still a very great struggle that we are going through. So to give us context in especially women's or young girls' rise in the political spaces and their rights, do you think they are there? Is there progress, or is there much that must be done? But also, you could also highlight more on the online spaces and platforms. I've seen you on very many various conversations online trying to advocate for, women's rights. How best do you think we can modify the online spaces to do away with things that Nas is talking about of violence and discrimination, but also self-willed discrimination and vulgar that is always actually attacking women that are trying to, do something and progress in their different capacities?
Thank you so much, Trassyleen, and thank you so much, co-panelist. First of all, I will start by saying that it starts with you. I do not think that someone went somewhere and picked Dr. Miria and said, come and fight for our rights. It started with her, and she had the zeal. Actually, I had her saying if she's no longer out there, we shall not look for her. Recently, we visited
What I meant actually, what I meant was acknowledging that I ever lived.
Sure, you
I
will be
I
acknowledged.
was relating it to our people
To
who
your
were
day.
For the
trying to
previous
tell you.
scene.
Yeah.
When I said nobody even celebrates them, like you may remember that these are the people who started the women's movement and have a day of to drink a cup of tea as the women's movement. It is now all gone. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I
that's
think
for
I
being
think
there.
I actually picked you so well. And I wanted to tell you that recently we visited Honorable Frances Akelo. She's in Soroti. I don't know whether you know her.
That one.
A
He's
member
one
of
of
the CA.
those. He's
Yes,
one of those historical.
She was giving us the history of how she ran to Kenya into exile.
That one knows
The-
much more
They
than I
wanted
do.
to kill her, yeah. And we were trying to pick, from her cup of knowledge to know how the walk was like. She was giving us all that history and how they fought, and they never got tired of fighting. So I think to the young women out there, it's about you putting yourself out there. And I mean, no one is going to come and tell you this is your right. You must always struggle to find out the information, find out to people to look up to, and focus on them, and not get tired of fighting, because at the end of it all, the fights will continue. Apparently, when you look at the status quo, it is the women that are more loud now. We have the DPP, we have the speaker, we have the prime minister, and when you're looking up to like such people, you must be critical on what you're looking up to them at exactly. Because of course you cannot look at someone and you're looking at their whole. So what I'm trying to say is that right now at least we have people that we can look up to and know that if for example Dr. Miria was fighting in this status quo, that was their time, these and these were the challenges. The challenges have not yet really changed so much. But at least there is a voice that now if you speak, they will say that, even Dr. Miria was like, no, it is not going to be like an isolated case that you're just starting. We have where to start from. The ladders are already there.
Yes.
Our role is to, climb the ladders, not to remain stunted. I know that, for example, now the deputy road mayor is still in prison. She was on streets trying to protest for the arrest of Dr. Kizza Besigye. And that is the zeal and energy that I am talking about. That if you see an injustice somewhere, it is not about that injustice that is being committed on the other person, because at the end of it all, what goes around comes around. And we cannot if social media right now is into a racket, you see, people have failed to differentiate between, if you a woman in an office and you're fighting for this right, they will try to divert you. When Honorable Winnie was fighting for the husband, I saw someone trying to bring in the office work that you're doing this job, and because you're doing this job, you shouldn't be fighting for this injustice. And that's how they bring down women. Because I have given you this, you're not supposed to ask for this right. And these are issues that we cannot compromise. Because the right is a right. It is not compromisable at all. It is not something that someone is supposed to beg, because we have the constitution that gives us all this. So why do you think because Honorable Winnie is having this job, then she should, you know, shut up and not at all talk about these things, you know? And I love the energy that she continues to exhibit. And that is what every young person out there should be. That's the kind of energy that we expect them of having. Not to be shut, not to be compromised, and you know, be out there, put yourself out there, because no one is going to you know, keep chasing you out there. We have organizations like Akina Mama Africa. They continue pulling us. Center for Constitutional Governance held my hand when I was at campus. But they will pull you because they've already seen you somewhere, and also because you know what you want, and also because you know what you're chasing. Yes.
To add my voice to that,
Yes.
I would just like to say that there is also burnout. There is also burnout. You might get stressed. You need to take a break. If you feel like it's too much for you, mental health, you prioritize yourself. You take a break, take a step, go, rest, come back.
Actually, what I want to say, these things we are talking about, whatever they are saying is right, but what you are criticizing, like now when Vyanyama says this and then they say that and they say that, I don't think when Vyanyama can be bothered, or we cannot be, what do you call it?
It does not stop her from, you
yes,
know,
unstoppable.
it is, she's
because
very
why I'm
unstoppable.
saying that,
Yeah.
we went through all those, all that nonsense. Matembe is she even a woman? Look at her. You don't know how many descriptions they put on me. Nobody would say Miria Matembe without about 5, you know,
Men.
uncompromisable, maverick, all those words to describe Matembe. We don't even know whether she's a woman. And I would tell them there is only one man who's privileged to know my womanhood. The rest of you can just look and salivate. and they would just leave you. So what am I saying? The category and the type of women we wear and the environment, which was not like now. You see, because you are now complacent, the things you are talking about is you have arrived. The arrival mentality.
Yes,
We are now in the arrival mentality, and that is a very big hindrance to this struggle. The second hindrance is the political environment, for which I feel sorry for you now. There I feel sorry. For complacency, I don't feel sorry. This arrival mentality, I don't feel sorry. But because we fought for you and you arrived, and we find all these things which
Everything
were,
is on table.
for us when we came there, the women were not seen. They were there, but unseen. I remember when we wrote the first book in Action for Development. By the way, Ackford was at the forefront of this battle. But when the book we wrote first, we called it Visible at Last. That at last you can find the women are also there. They are also talking. They are also in positions. They are also. And then when Mama FM was launched, we said audible at last, that we could now be heard. And then that was another book. And then with Ford, we wrote a book. When I launched it, it was called The Rising Tide. The Rising Tide. We reached at that level. I don't know, you don't know oceans. But if you have ever seen an ocean, the tide rises up, the water rises up and reaches there. And we called our book The Rising Tide. That's where we had reached as women in this land, in as far as asserting for our rights, claiming our rights. And I said the next book we shall launch will be entitled The Roaring Wave. But unfortunately, that wave never rolled. What it means when we say the roaring wave the water, when the tide rises in the ocean and reaches somewhere, and then it rolls, it goes beyond what the ocean is. And that's why you see the sand created. In other words, if the roaring wave, if it rolled, all those rural women, all those people who are now suffering defilement, early marriages, or if it had rolled, they would not be there.
Yeah.
So down the road, when the rising tide rose for our struggle, serious struggle, then something hit it and the water fell into the ocean. It never rode the wave. Why? The political environment. I want to tell you that for us, we worked because of the conducive political environment coupled with the political will to really advance the cause for gender equality and women's empowerment. At the time when NRM had come during our period, the women, when the men and the women fought side by side in the bush, the men were able to see, hey, wait a minute, there's no difference. We are all important. We can also do this. We can, and it was realized that even women were more tenacious, they were more honest, they were more committed, and therefore that's why the NRM came with the woman question on agenda, high on its agenda. But unfortunately, and we rode, you know, you climb on that and you run with the thing. But now, with the political environment becoming violent and being what it is now, that's why you find women are there. That's why they can't be as vibrant as you for us. Like I'm sure Win will continue talking. Nothing will stop her. Nothing. Why should she be stopped? She's a great woman in this land. She's a great woman in Africa. The fact that she's being tortured, why should she keep quiet and not stand up and
she
talk?
has the listenership,
And she will continue. Those rubbishing her are not as important or as great as her. So they are wasting their time. So we pray that this political environment may change, but will it change without you people also being assertive? I'm so glad. I was very happy when I saw those women going on the street to demonstrate, and I was so angry, and I'm still so angry. But you know, God says we should stop this anger. I'm angry not with the people, but I'm angry at the actions of the people. The police who really arrested those women, and yet they never dare arrest those. The whole community, what community, or should I call them nonsense, who were demonstrating with Muhozi Pirao. What was the issue?
They crossed the road.
What was the issue? What was the issue of their demonstration? What was the subject of their demonstration? And I listened to the police saying, we gave them permission. And the subject of the women's demonstration were the life of our husband. Because if Winfred's husband is being tortured, we as women also, this is our friend, this is our colleague, he's one of our husbands, and they come out to demonstrate for freedom for that issue. And these police people arrest them, and I saw them putting them on the street, and we say we have police, we have rubbish in terms of that police, which can bow to nonsense, and then when it is the right issues, they just torture people. So women and girls, you better brace yourselves and say no. Let us fight if it is our time, if it is our we secure our freedom. If we die, we die. Don't you know when Esther, the Princess Esther in the Bible, he said, I will face the king. If I die, I die. If I perish, I perish. We need that kind of women in this environment.
Unfortunately,
There's something I wanted to add on.
There's
There's something you raised that no one should come and help a woman. And I think this is something as either activists, as anyone who has at least tried to either help yourself or gotten the privilege. Sometimes we speak from privilege and we don't know. Truth is, as activists, as human rights defenders, as women leaders, when we are like we sometimes point out to the other woman with lenses of privilege. Not, I believe there are very many women who would want to participate, maybe, but they lack the privilege. You might have gotten, I might have gotten a hand to be helped by a kina mama. I might be gotten a chance to go to this space because of either I am either from the urban, because either I went to school, because either I have a friend who has taken me there. But we need to have at the back of our mind that it is still our responsibility to look for the other woman, the most disadvantaged woman, because there are women who even don't have radios to listen to this, so to show that, okay, let me try and learn. Personally, by the how I started, and I will show you when we finish this show. How did I start loving activism? From TV. I would watch her. I would watch Miria Matembe. In fact, I had, I'll tell you then, I was like, I really need to meet that woman. I would call her my crush. I need to meet, and the people around me would say that. And the day we met, the first time was I've forgotten the year, but it was at Springs, Silver Springs, and we took a photo. I'm going to show it to you. But after very, very many years, you get it? So I got the passion from what I could hear from them. How many women would not? So we need us to, as women, to look out for other women, because there are women who lack. We sometimes, I personally also sometimes speak out of privilege, because I have the access to sit on a TV like this and speak. I expect everyone to have that privilege. Because I went to school and she can speak English and I listen and I understand, I would think that every woman, because I have understood, but why is that woman not joining? Maybe the person there is something hindering. So whenever I just feel that that when you say that women should wake up, they have to, no.
I said like
we are
they
speaking,
should show up. I am talking about those that already like have people that they look up to, but
still,
are seated in one place.
That is what I'm telling you. You could be seeing me here when I am looking at you, or when you are my sister. But where there is that is why I'm saying, when you see a woman, that woman next to you, it is our obligation as women. Me, I have very many women who have held my hand, but they held my hand even when I could speak, but I couldn't, because I still didn't have that privilege. Personally, how I started the work I do, I was working somewhere and there was a lot of sexual harassment. I was trying to speak about it within, and there was a lot of oppression going on around, and even I lost my job. But because I couldn't, I even didn't know that I could report this organization. I didn't know that I could go to Ministry of Labor. You get it? But I was a very talkative woman. And within that organization, it took me 3 years to disorganize all that. This sexual harassment had to end. But if I had the privilege, if I knew that I can go to their organizations that can help, by the time these women knew about this case, I didn't go to them because I didn't know. That is the privilege bit I'm saying. These women came and looked for me. They held my hand. We should stop judging using the eye, thinking that because Winfred is here, now the example you gave of Miria Matembe, she's privileged. She has the voice. She's a strong woman. Me, evening I go on Twitter just to enjoy how she's giving it to them. To enjoy. You get it?
But you know that,
but how many women,
there are also women that have the privilege but cannot do that?
That is what I'm saying.
Those are the women that we are talking about.
No, there are those women
who are there and are doing nothing exactly.
There are those women. But again, still, there are women.
The arrival, what I was saying.
Yes, the arrival. Those ones who have
arrival mentality. Because they found the privileges which you are talking about. They found everything. They don't see why is Matembe shouting. They are engineers, they have their jobs, they are earning salary and that kind of thing.
And you know, those kind of women have been even helped. Have been helped to those positions.
Some have even been helped by fellow women.
And those women at some point spoke. So I'm not talking about those women who at some point spoke, and because of the privilege, they've eaten and gotten satisfied and gotten
mute,
you know? I don't want to use the right word I would have used. I'm not speaking about those women. I'm speaking about the women who
We have to look out for
Yes.
and
And
you know,
that's
hold
why
their
I was
hand.
talking
Yes.
of the roaring wave. If you didn't understand what I mean, is that you have reason you are here. The roaring wave means that you have impact. You work in such that we impact others, that they will follow in the footsteps of which you set forward there. But then that thing which you are which is talking about, this passion of fighting the way we used to fight, has also been affected by the principles that now govern leadership, which is not only among women, but the leadership in the country, which I call as the political environment I talked about. We were driven into service, into these positions to serve the people and change, getting power and authority to use it in service of other people and change the environment and change the atmosphere and change situations for others. But right now, what drives people, both men and women, in positions of leadership is just self-centeredness. They want these positions of power
To enrich
themselves, to enjoy their lives. That's why you find these women now in parliament, for instance, we have never had the highest number of women at the most high positions. But what are they doing there? What are they saying to change our situations? Now, when Besigye is arrested and Winnie is suffering with all the women in civil society and so on, and the women who came to try and demonstrate are arrested, what are the members of parliament right now who are more than 100 whatever, just because they are in yellow? If they talk, they may lose their position. If they talk, they may campaign them. If they talk, that's not what we wear. Me, I want to tell you, when I used to go to campaign.
Madam Speaker said they can't talk about it because the matter is in what?
Don't talk to me. I want to be cool. I'm telling you the problem. The problem that Madam Speaker herself was mentored by Besigye. She was FDC.
She was FDC.
Actually, she was used by President Museveni to destroy FDC. I am telling you, even if President Museveni was applauding her, that don't touch her when she was launching her school and whatever. He said, don't touch her, she's very good. She helped me to fight those political parties. But anyway, what I'm saying, they are fearing for your positions, for their money, and so on. But let me tell you, when I used to go to campaign to be in parliament, and I would stand out, and the environment was so tough then, because women had to be beaten. It was a right that they should be beaten, and talking about women that time was, you couldn't, that you are talking about women. Then these men would say, I remember a campaign one time, a man put up his hand and said, but you, Matembe, I married my wife, I paid my bride price. Who are you to come here and say that I should not beat her? Is she yours? What is your, what right do you have to question? I paid for and so on. And this is campaign. I'm campaigning. I have opponent there, and I want votes. And I would say, let me tell you, that's exactly why I want votes right now. To go and stop you from torturing these women. They are not your object. They are not dogs. They are not what. And I'm there campaigning. And then I remember at one stage, my agents put me aside. They said, maybe Mama Miria, your days, maybe on that issue, your days were probably, for you, they used to vote ideas, and for us they don't. Maybe that's no, but you wait. I'm on that point. I'm on the point of self-centeredness. Which ideas? I'm stopping them from beating their wives. I'm stopping them from marrying the young girls. I'm stopping them from all these things. Was my struggle, and it was all against my what? Those people what they loved was opposite of what I wanted and what I was introducing. But what I was telling you is I could never give up. I would rather lose a vote, because I told them that's exactly what I want to do. Because these children are not your dogs or what. The women are not your dogs. And that's when my campaign team came and said, Honorable, for your rule, it is very tough. Please, why don't you say you beat the Maritro? You know, really, because you want the votes. And I said, no way. And I remember one time there was this vibrant woman called Chiwejana, when she came to campaign against me after we had finished making the constitution. And she was saying this Matembe, he brought feeder. Of course, when I went to Mbarara as a member of parliament, I established a branch of feeder there with my feeder people. We established a branch in Mbarara. And so I was training women how to, you know, all these things, violence, how to stop violence, and training men how to know, and I would take them in prison, and for a number of days they would be there. So now, this woman was saying, this woman, when you vote her, you know, she brought feeder, and the feeder is torturing you. And so when I stood up, I said, okay, if you don't vote me because I brought feeder, now I will not be in Kampala. I will come here and sit in feeder office and deal with it very much, because I will be very present every day. Then they said, this woman, she would rather be in Kampala and come here very rarely, because otherwise
You will be finished.
but because at my center of my struggle was women. The pain.
But
I
also
was
the passion that you had.
Yes, but
What we have apparently is that women do not have, even those that are yet there, do not have passion for fellow women. Most
By
of
the
them
way, they don't
are
even
just,
know
they
the
don't
struggle.
even know the struggle. They've just found things in place, and they, surprisingly, some of them even fight their fellow women at work.
Women who are where?
The women that have the
Those
position,
offices,
who should be pulling other women up.
in governance, in
Unfortunately,
now,
our time
You
is
see now,
fast
even the other
spent.
gender is trying to use them as an
Our time
example
is
to fight
fast
women.
spent, so
They
I'll
say those
get
that
to-
are there already are not doing anything. Now when they start talking about term limits, they want to impose it on only women. They do not want it to go all through. So, you see.
So Helen would like to get your parting shots. Would you imagine a world where actually women's rights are upheld? How would it be like? And is it possible for Uganda to have such, in your parting shots?
Well, our problem here is governance. If we can sort that, then I think human rights and women, we could be in a better position. And I do not want to think that that cannot happen, because our God is living, really. I do not think that God has completely abandoned us. Time is going to come, and we shall have all that on our table. Our role is to just continue pushing, and where you see an injustice, do not keep quiet. Where you see human rights being violated, do not keep quiet. We could together push for a fair society. And as
Amazing.
women, we surely have it that we can fight as mothers of the nation. We can fight as mothers of our children, because even these that are in power are almost our children as women, you know. So let us continue pushing, and let us continue the fight.
Wow, let us continue pushing and the fight. Nancy, how best do you think we as women can fit into spaces of advocacy, policy formulations, because the policies, if we are not there, then they would definitely be against us. So how do we fit in as one of the mechanisms that we can have to, you know, frontline issues of women's rights?
I think it's incumbent upon us not to stop talking, not to stop struggling, not to stop trying, because the more we try, the better we become. But also, it's also upon us not to allow people to give us descriptions of who we are, because when people tell you that women fight among themselves, also men fight among themselves. There are certain characteristics that have been attributed to women that belong to every human being, really, but are used to put women down. So by not allowing people to define us, but also by pulling each other up. Mentorship has got us where we are. I know that most of us, because I personally volunteered for FODE and for FAMFOT, those organizations, and that's how I'm here. And mentorship is important, but also women should leverage the spaces that they go to. It doesn't matter where you are. You leverage your skills, you market yourself, because at the end of the day, that is what everyone is doing, and our world is changing. It's different. It could be online spaces, it could be offline spaces. It's incumbent upon you to sell yourself or to get someone who will help you figure out a way to do that. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. Madam Winnie, from the civil society angle and NGO world, with a shrinking source of funding, with the challenges here and there, how best do you encourage people in civil society to continue pushing, but also to ensure that women, even deep down there in Chabjimbi, where I come from, can actually be part of the conversations that we have here on these platforms? And your concluding remarks.
We have not to tire.
Yeah.
We started the work we do through passion, not because of funding. Every organization, Honorable will tell you that they didn't start with funding to speak.
Yes.
You get? I will say that all the women I know, all the strong women, all the women leading civil societies, they never started with funding. And challenges of money will be there. Yes, money, I'm not saying money is not needed. It is needed. But even now when the challenges are there, you will see that the shrinking space has been there like now for 3 years. But we are still keeping up the game of speaking about injustices. So that is not going to stop us to speak as women, because any injustice on any woman is upon all women. And for me, I even say that it's not only on the women, it's on the entire population. When women are facing injustices, the whole population is facing it, because we are the mothers, we are the naturals of this nation. So for the women, I'll still urge everyone, where you are, start from where you are. Help the woman next to you. Good, we have you gave an example of where you're coming from. We already have an ambassador there. So everyone here is coming from a different, we are diverse here. We are not coming from the same villages. So let's start from where we came from. Because we are in Kampala now, I'm not from Kampala, I'm from Nakaseke. So let me not say now I have arrived in Kampala, why go back to Nakaseke? Let us go back, let's have people, let's speak. Let's continue speaking. It's not about that I have to appear on TV to speak. It's not about that who is seeing me to speak. Let's continue doing the work we do, even when there is no one seeing us. The Bible speaks about it. I've forgotten where it's written, but we are not supposed to do something because someone is doing what? Is seeing us. For us to achieve what we are, because right now, truth is, right now, the legacy of colonization is up at the game. We are witnessing grabbing of land. We are witnessing a high level of exploitation. We are witnessing everything, but right now modernized. So it means that we are almost back. The regime we are in now, it almost copied and pasted, but only said, let's now put it in this way. To some extent, I would even think that, do we need to even put down everything? Do we need the women who are already there to speak for us? We just have, tell them, you know, sisters, it is time for you to also come this side. Have someone you've mentored. But right now, it's not the time to rest. It is the time now to act more than we ever acted as civil societies.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
So the time is now. Honorable, to get your concluding remarks, but also from a point of, I've heard you severally explain the concepts of vision and ambition. And I know affirmative action, that is one of the mechanisms that you have fought for strongly to have it in the space for us women to benefit, has also oftentimes been having questions from women are getting into those spaces but staying in those spaces without pulling others. And I think, again, because they are rolling on the idea of ambition rather than vision. So how do we instill the vision into the young women and young girls that we have in society to ensure that their rights are much more appreciated but also respected? And then your concluding remarks.
Actually, me, I want to say, hey, I answer that which you ask. There are many questions, but time is not enough.
Yeah.
As when I talk for visions and ambitions and the difference between a vision and ambition, a vision is that which drives you for the good of others,
Yeah.
while an ambition is that which is driving you for your personal, you know,
Yes.
the vision you want good for others, that others may be better. When you are driven by that kind of thing, that's when you have impact on people, that's when you have influence, that's when you change the society. But when you are driven by an ambition, it is you wanting to be better than others. When you are talking of Simon pull down and so on, when what drives a woman in positions of power and leadership is her personal ambition, is because she wants to be better than others, and therefore you don't expect much impact on the other women because she wants to be better than others. So me, usually I say, as women, we should know what is driving us. If what is driving us is a vision, certainly that is what is good for others, and you struggle for it. And one thing I can say, even if I conclude, the beauty of being driven by a vision in your leadership position is that while you impact on others and do good for others, God does good for you.
Yeah.
Because for sure, I'm telling you, I've been out of public life in court in terms of serving and earning anything or whatever. I was thrown away with nothing for standing for integrity. But 19 years now, I don't look less of
Some people actually think like you have some big public office.
Yes, I'm very rich. They ring me, where is your office? Where can I drop your envelope? Because
And you tell them, come
of
home.
complain and all that kind of thing. No office, but because God stands with me, because I stand for and with his people.
Yes.
And that is one call I'm telling the women out there and the men listening to us, because this is women's voice, but it is not meant to be exclusive to us, but to the public which is listening.
Yeah.
And therefore, it is very important to know what drives you in your work, a vision or ambition. And then the other thing was
Affirmative action.
yeah, of course, affirmative action. Let me tell you, affirmative action is a double-edged sword. If affirmative action had not been introduced in this country, we wouldn't be even where we are. We wouldn't even have been able to run, because for all my childhood, I was dreaming of a day, if I could get a day or a platform and shout and call women and girls and say, we are cheated, let us refuse and defend ourselves. But I didn't get that opportunity until the NRM, the original one, not this fake one, but the National Resistance Movement, not the party. When it came and said, women, where are you? That's when I got out on the public platform with this affirmative action. And we did great. But affirmative action can as well be a counterproductive as a double-edged sword. Right now, as I talk, the affirmative action in the political arena is abused. It has proved counterproductive because it's used by people to say, don't you see women are there? Now what does Matembe want? You know, before this term of 7, I used to say, he's deceiving us, that he supports women. Where are we? Because in the whole of president, vice president, first prime minister, that whole lane of leadership line was men only. And I was shouting. Now come this term. He said, let me silence this woman, Matembe, who disturbs me. You got all the women. Yes, the vice president, the first prime minister, the prime minister, the third prime minister, all of them. Actually, Museveni is in the leadership government. He is there alone with women, because you can't now count Moses Ali. But poor Moses Ali is now sick. Now Museveni alone with 4 women. The vice president, the prime minister, the first deputy prime minister, the third deputy prime minister. He is there with those 4 women. Can you imagine 4 women in that, the powerful position? and women are suffering the way they are suffering, and no, they are not saying, Byanyuma, please. I want you to tell me, of those four women, you people who tweet, who do all that, Zimanyi, what did you call it? I'm not technologically.
Yes.
This TikTok, WhatsApp. I want you to tell me, have you been reading
They said nothing.
The support to win Byanyuma by those four distinguished women in governance?
Saying nothing.
Have you heard them say anything?
They cannot.
So now, plus our speaker, so now tell us, what is the value of those women there if they cannot stand and fight for us? What is the value? What is it? So it has become counterproductive. But I'm not saying that the affirmative action should be stopped, but it has become counterproductive. And in fact, for us, we've been proposing for a long time now, since 2011, we've been proposing affirmative action in politics, especially parliament, as equality. One woman, one man. Because the counties are now the districts. I used to be a woman representative district for 10 counties, and 49 sub-counties. The whole almost over Ankole was like, it was almost me. But now, every county is a constituency. Almost every county is a constituency. So why should you have, like, if I give you example of Sheni, I think it has 4 members of parliament, and it is one county. One county like this, but has 4 members of parliament. That is waste of resources. That is wasting completely. Why not say Bushenyi County, one man, one woman? That is the equality, the affirmative action we've been proposing, but they've been rejecting it.
Honorable now Mekabashalila tried to bring it up again, and they shut
We've
her
been
up.
bringing it, but they don't listen to it. We had brought it long ago. They don't want it. Why? Because they want to use these women. After all, they will keep quiet. They will use them. They will support. Didn't you see Mbari? Oh, women. Museveni is women. And I always tell them, but Museveni has one, his wife. But for them, they were dancing, hopeless. But anyway, let me leave my language and conclude with my statement like this. I want to say clearly that the struggle for gender equality and women's empowerment, which promotes, of course, their rights as full human beings in like the men, is a journey. It is a journey. As I told you, even wherever it started, it is still moving. Therefore, it is a journey which I want to clearly make people understand. The gender equality and women's empowerment is for the good of humanity, of humankind, of both men and women. And therefore, it should be a journey which must be walked, traveled together, men and women traveling it together, because it is for the benefit of humanity. But I want to say that like any ordinary journey, it will take you through valleys, rivers. When you are walking, you go through mud, you go through hardcore stones and hills. At times you go on a hill, then down, you go down. And so it is that journey that needs the walkers. The walkers who understand that journey, understand what it is, what it means for humanity, and therefore determine and be resilient and be focused, irrespective of going through the stones, the water, the whatever, to make sure that one day, and as you move, you get steps. You may go backward, you may slide and fall, but it is a journey which must continue. And of course the political environment, it makes it better. But right now, because of the political environment, we are in reverse gear, we are in a backlash, we are on all this, but we must also continue resilience and tenacity. And finally, to help this journey, I want women themselves, who at the forefront of the journey, because once they are lifted up, then the journey moves better.
Yeah.
But I want the women to know, each woman there, to know who they are. Who are you as a human being? The moment you know who you are, you cannot be demeaned by anybody. I was telling you, these men were saying, but is she even a wife? Is she even a woman? By the way, is she married? And even many people say, she's not married. If I'm not married, can't I live? Are all men in the world married? And do they all have children? But they say, she has no children. She's not married. That's nonsense. You are a human being. Who are you in God? You are fully created as a human being, and I want women to know that each of them was created for a purpose. To know that God created you as a full human being, moreover as a special full human being, as a guest of honor on this land. Because when a woman was created, God rested. Can you imagine we brought rest to God? She said, finally, the guest of honor has arrived. When the guest of honor arrives, that's, by the way, you need to know that before the guest of honor arrived, God had not assigned any responsibility to a man. He just saw him, helpless. He said, you know what? You be eating the fruits until I decide what to do. And that's when eventually he calculated, he said that she needs a helper. And therefore I want to tell people listening to me that whatever missed in a man as a human being, God put it in a woman to complete humanity. So the woman and the man must, for a man to act as a human being, he needs a woman to beef up and make him more of a human being. And know that when the guest of honor arrives, that's when business started. Let me tell you, after God had seen the Adam smile and happy, he said, oh, this woman has brought life into this man, and he gave them responsibility. Go produce and multiply, go and rule my creation. Do you see? Before we came, for me, when people say with Matembe, nobody can silence me. Nobody can shut me down. I'm a special creation of God. You are joking. I bring life into otherwise lifeless man. I bring humanity because I get pregnancy, rear these children, and oh my God.
You bring vibe.
Everything on earth, and I'm a co-worker with God. You people, if you read the Bible, every time God wanted to deliver the children of Israel, he picked a woman somewhere. And even right now, God is looking for a woman who can be picked and deliver this nation.
Even when he
Uganda.
wanted to deliver the world, to bring Jesus, he picked a woman.
Completely, that's your co-worker. We are redeemers, redemption. You know, when we fell and went for sin, and the woman cried, Eva cried until one day, God met Mary, the mother of Jesus,
And delivered the world.
And without man's participation. When I see these bishops preaching the gospel, which gospel are they preaching? It's about our son. We women produced Jesus Christ. These men wanted to kill Jesus Christ. You people,
God really shows
that. Great. Yeah, before woman, I want every woman to know who she is in the presence of God. And then they rise up. When they want to demean you, you say, what are you talking about? I'm a woman. I bring life. I'm a co-worker with God. What are you talking about? I'm God's perfecter of his creation. Oh my God. That's what makes me who I am. I fear nobody except God. I'm telling you. So I desire that for a woman everywhere out there. When you are like that, we shall win.
Wow. Oh, you know, I've been talking. You want to keep listening and listening. I want to appreciate my very beautiful panelists, Hellen Sayuni, Vice President of the Uganda Young Democrats from the far left, Nancy Ayot, a lawyer by profession and also a feminist, Madam Winfred Mugamba, ED Rights for Her, our own mama and a senior citizen, Honorable Miria Matembe, and also those who have been on the production. It's been an amazing space. from a take home is that the struggle for women's rights is not a one-day achievement. It is a revolution, and a revolution requires everyone to get their combats on, to get anything that you can have on this journey to ensure that you actually achieve it. And we also emphasize the art of collectiveness, that you must be a team. You cannot move this journey alone. And mentorship is also one of the things that we have been able to put across from Nancy and Honorable Miria Matembe, that don't just move alone. Have a team, build people behind you, so that even when you're no more, your legacy still stands. But also the legacy should be representative of that which you think more or many other young girls should be able to take in, so that they fight for this cause. Otherwise, thank you so much. It's been Women Speaking.